Virtually on the inside. So welcome back. If you have been around here at Amplify Your Marketing Message, you know that I'm a big fan of simplicity. Getting in front of more people, more ways, more often is the key to see consistent client growth in your business. And getting in front of all those people doesn't need to be as complicated as perhaps you are making it. And so today I'm really excited to be talking about the power of virtual stages and how you can use it as fuel to grow a very big business. 6 and 7 figures is easily achieved. So welcome today, our guest. This is Michael Tucker. Welcome to the show. I'm really excited to have you here because you are an expert in the world of virtual events that convert. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. So excited. I'm really more excited than anything about this conversation because our mutual love for marketing and our mutual love for events. And so I'm just so geeked out about this conversation.
I'm geeked out too because honestly, as any of you know, if you follow our businesses, we do embrace this strategy. So this is really us talking from front row, what it's really like and why we are here to talk about how to help you do this better. So let's start with the first piece of the puzzle, which is it takes gumption to say, I am going to create or get involved in any kind of event, including virtual ones. What is the first piece we need to do to ignite our fire and say, yes, we're really going to do it?
That's a great question. I always teach and I tell people it's all about who you're serving ultimately, right? And because a lot of people, virtual events are hard the first time you run them, right? And there's many different kinds of virtual events. There's webinars, there's those master classes, workshops. There's so many different kinds. Podcasts, even this is I would consider a virtual event and a virtual stage. And I always tell people that they're like, how do I do this? I've never done it before. Is just think about those who need you, your message, and your mission, right? And so one of the reason why I love virtual events, and you and I were talking about that recently, or we're talking about this topic recently, is because you can reach so many people. And so when people come to me and they say, "Hey, how do I get started?" I'm newer, I'm kind of scared, maybe. Is just think about the person on the other end of the screen, on the other end of that Zoom room or whatever software you're using, who needs the solution that you provide. And if you truly think about that and you truly believe in your product and your service, that should give you a whole nother boost of confidence and energy and belief that you should be using virtual events. So a short answer is just remember those people that serve you, because virtual events, as you are aware, you all use them all the time, can bring results fast for people if you do them the right way. And so just knowing that the impact can be there for me is what got me started.
Virtual events, I just love it. The can do, just go do it is so key to this because I will tell everyone just a moment here. My first event that I ever ran, just so you know, it was a colossal disaster. And the point is, I didn't stop doing virtual events. And what made it a disaster was that I was so focused on getting people into the room that I didn't think about getting the right people into the room. And so when I eventually did have the day of, I had a very small crowd of people who showed up, and it was gutting. However, after I finished my pity party, I was like, I learned a ton. It's time to apply what I learned. And then, of course, we would say the rest is history because then I have done hundreds. But it's key when you're running a virtual stage, there's a little bit of different experience, and it is up to you as the host to create the environment. How do we step in or flex our leadership to create a great experience when we're in a virtual space?
Number one, I think, is realizing that everybody's leadership style is different online, right? And I see so many people, and you probably see this just as much as I do, is you see people trying to mimic the Tony Robbins. You see people trying to mimic the Russell Brunsons or the Neil Patel. They just try to be other people that they're not. And so when going into the virtual space and you're wanting to run a virtual event that converts, be yourself. Be yourself and don't try to adopt what you think your personality should be, what you think your speaking style should be. Speak from your heart, and there's a whole science behind crafting that. But I would just say, like, a high level, because I know we don't have much time today, is just ask yourself, am I truly speaking from my experiences and from what I know, or am I trying to mimic and be somebody that I am not? And so people see right through that.
They
We all,
do.
I both know that, see right through that. And whenever you lay that down and you can take up who you really are and your leadership style that you really should take up, it's a whole different ball game. And listen, in these virtual events, engagement and energy is everything. I tell people all the time, you need energy, you need a lot of engagement. If you can't foster those two things, your event's gonna have a lower chance of success.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people they can't craft those things because they're trying to be somebody who they're not. And so I would just say, if you're here and you want to run a virtual event, forget trying to mimic other people. Let's come in with a mindset to serve, and I think you'll be coming from a lot better place. Does that
I
make
love
sense?
that because it's free pass. It's free pass to do it your way. And I think what makes the best events, that you're exactly spot on. It's I don't want to come if I have experienced this before, but if
Yep.
I go, I like you and you've thought about what I need and you're going to show up as human, sign me up. Otherwise, send me the replay. I'll watch it on two speed.
Yeah, and I get there's methodologies and strategies that these certain key high-level speakers and marketers use. You can use the strategies, you can use the systems, the methodologies. But whenever it comes down to the way you tone your voice, so, and I've seen it time and time again, people mimic literally, like sometimes word by word, what other people are saying. It's just, it comes off as inauthentic. I guess that's how you say it. And it's and like people, especially if you're selling a high ticket service, which is perfect what we sell during virtual events. So, like, just disclaimer, in some of our events, we've sold all the way up to $75,000 packages. And that doesn't come by being fake. That comes by showing up, being you, being real, and providing value, the right value to the right audience. And so, um, yeah, I'm so you're really good at this. So I love talking about it because it's not I'm not speaking to the choir, like, this is true. So anyway, I'll resign.
Well, and you know, and I want to just kind of illuminate that experience, and thank you for the compliment. I do really appreciate the accolade because when I decided to go into virtual events and create it, it really came down to the idea that I thought there wasn't the right conversation happening, and I was brainstorming this, bemoaning this, talking to another peer in my networking space, and she said, "Well, what's the answer to that?" I said, "I guess I have to create the conversation." She said, "Yes, that means you have to go and create an event." And truthfully, when someone then starts to go, now what? Okay, I made the stake in the sand, and I can certainly tell you how I made mine because it's a funny story. But you know, when you made the commitment, you can create three really big outcomes. And you specifically had highlighted them. And I know it was such an interesting thing when you and I connected because virtual events are not just about one thing, but they can provide multiple results. What do you think has the biggest impact? And what should we be thinking on to say, yeah, I really can do that? It's time, Michael. It's time to go do that. What do we do?
Yeah, and so I want to make sure I'm understanding the question fully, but whenever it comes to virtual events, and there's three, like, I'll just say this, there's three areas you can really grow, right? You can grow your income through virtual events,
Mm-hmm.
influence, and then ultimately, like the word you said, you can grow your impact, right? And so the cool thing about virtual events is, I tell people, that first time you ran an event, Christine, like that first time, it may have felt like a failure, and you tell everybody it was a flop. But I bet there was the three outcomes was income, influence, and impact. You may have not made income, so financially it may have not been success, but I bet you made an impact on somebody, whether you realize it or not. What if, even if it was a small impact, you may have influenced somebody and grew your authority a little
Mhm.
bit. And so that's why I love these virtual events, is because when people jump into them, the reason why they work so well is because it's a stage. It's a virtual stage, but I got a question.
Mhm.
Have you ever been to an event and somebody gets up on the stage and you realize, like, everybody's eyes, everybody's attention, everybody's ears are automatically drawn to the stage? Why?
Yes.
Because that person has influence over
Mhm.
they're above the crowd. And so it doesn't matter if that person, what they start saying is true or not, because they're on a platform above everybody else. they have influence over the crowd because they're high above them. And so that's why I love virtual stages, because you don't need to be in person. You can be virtually above everybody, have that same effect. And whether 10 people show up, whether 100 people show up, you can come in and create new influence. You can
Yeah,
create an
yeah.
impact on somebody. And
You
like
you are fair, and you do call it out, and thank you for calling it out because I think that's a really important insight. Yeah, in my event, I had 110 people register. I had 3 people show up. I had one leave halfway through, but she's somebody I know. One was a competitor who wanted to see how I did my business, and the one person that was in the room was the person who needed me to give the event. And I always do remind myself that the power of showing up for one is the most important attitude and impact we can create, because truthfully, I delivered an amazing experience for this person that did change the trajectory of their lives. They didn't hire me because I wasn't offering that service anymore. However, I learned a ton. And what I think is important is sometimes we think virtual events have to be a big thing. And you said it earlier, it can be everything from podcasting to sitting in a virtual summit to any other kind of virtual event, getting onto Instagram Live, doing something on TikTok. There's a million different strategies that you can use that are virtual. What's important is you think about the other side and you show up to give that. The other really unexpected thing I will tell you, once I created my own stages, was the influence in my peer group, not just within clients and future potential buyers, but suddenly I was different in the networking space, because a lot of people kept saying, I'd like to refer people into your stages. Like, you were referred into my network because of the work that we both share a passion for. And it was through that influence in the peer group that so many doors open. So you can create events for client growth, but it's not the only win, which is why now is the perfect time to get the first one out and immediately thereafter say, I'm going to do this again. Take all the lessons and apply it, because we get better through lived experience, not from sitting on the sidelines. And you can take all the great things that you ever experienced on somebody else's stage and do it your way.
Yeah, and
So
you can, I like what you said there. You can start out, and you said it indirectly, so I'm going to say it more directly than you
perfect.
said. You can start as small or as big as you want with these, right? And so for most people, small is okay. Don't feel like you have to go out and run. See, this is the same thing with in-person events. So many people go, I'm going to go run a big in-person event, 1,000 people. Do you realize how hard it is and difficult it is to put on an in-person event, which you can probably do it a little better than most people, right? But you know how hard it is for somebody to come in and fill up a room like that? Same with virtual. To get 1,000 people, 2,000 people in the room is difficult. It's okay to start small. And I would even say out small so you can perfect your message, perfect your voice, learn how to present, because it takes time. It takes time. But just know, I was going to state this because you said it at the beginning, and I just want to reaffirm what you said was true, is that it's not about how many people are in the room, but the quality of those who are in the room. And so I've 10 people in a live Zoom and I've made $60,000, right? I've had people where there's 1,000 people and I've only made $20,000. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on the quality of the people. It'd be like us showing up, right? I speak to a lot of speakers, coaches, consultants, course creators. It'd be like me going and speaking to a bunch of nurses. Like they're not, they don't need my services and my message. So just ask, when you guys are crafting your message, you're crafting that event, is who needs to be in this room? Who needs to be in this room? And then go from there. So I just wanted to hit on that because so many
So
people
important. Thank you.
on that.
That was the colossal learning in step one. And it is very powerful in a small stage. If you can connect with your leadership, if you can connect and realize that it is not about one outcome, there are many different things that you go into it. And if you go into it with the, I will be stronger, I will learn through lived experience, you will come out the other side as a massive winner. And that is truly how you can amplify your impact and get your message in front of more people. However, you are right. Sometimes it's not enough to just say, hey, I'm going to do it and think about who gets in the room. You actually have to work in getting people in the room. And I sometimes honestly think that we don't spend enough time in this. And we hope that if we just post on social media, we have this like full room. And I will tell you, it's a lot more work than that. Like the same thing about podcasting. You can't just launch a podcast and hope it goes viral. You need to have a strategy. You need to have a plan. You need to have effort pre-event during the event and post the event. And you've got some really great tips because you're a professional in this space. What, first off, makes a good event and fills the room so people actually do show up?
Yeah, I want to start with the filling up of the room because this one is one that a lot of people struggle with. And I understand why, right? Not everybody has a social media with 5,000, 10,000, 30,000 followers. Not everybody has an email list with thousands of people. And so when I first started, I started out by actually partnering with a friend and helping him grow his business. And we started out the same, zero. Like we had zero, like I would say less than 100 people on his email list.
Yep.
We had only a couple hundred people on Facebook. We didn't have any money for ads, but we tapped into one strategy. And there's multiple strategies we can implement here today. But I'm going to tell you about the one strategy we used to take his business from zero to $750,000 in 10 months. I don't have all the time in the world, so I'm going to break it down fast. But what we realized was one of the most powerful tools that we could leverage was other people's audiences. And when I,
Mhm.
how can we find other people who complement our niche, complement what we do, and partner with them and run events to their audience? That's what we did. We ran an event to our own audience once. We made like 20 or $30,000, and for me at the time, that was mind blowing because I made like 20 or $30,000 in a year. So for me going 20 to $30,000 a year to that in a week, I was like, what in the world is that? Was our own audience, but we said, what if we ran this to other people's audiences? And so for those of you all that are here and you're like just starting out and you're like, I want to fill up the room right now, collaborations, partnerships, whatever you want to call them, but leveraging other people's audiences is like one of the best things we've seen because after that event where we made like 20 or $30,000, it was like 25. We ended up going to other people's audiences and doing the same presentation over and over and over again. And we made 100,000. We made 200,000. We made 60,000. We just kept building and building it up. And so I can't share the whole blueprint here, but what I would say is ask yourself, who can you collaborate that already has the resources you need? Who can you collaborate that already has the following you need? I don't know who that is. Only you know that. But how can you start building relationships with those people so that one day maybe you can partner and run an event to their audience and sell your product or service? That's what we've done. That's what we've gotten really good at. And it's been so fun and so amazing to see. So for me, I know it was two parts to that question, but I wanted to really hit on that one because that's that's like super key for us and we utilize that every single week. We're doing it all the time.
Yeah, other people's audiences can be a very fast accelerator. And I'm going to put an asterisk on this because I want you to be awesome business peeps and not people who come into business to hit and run. The reason other people give you access to their audiences is because you deliver value to the
Yep.
audience they've curated. So you want to be thinking about, hey, it's not just about me, do me a great hand favor. It's I can bring value to your audience, and that is an equal value to me. And absolutely, I've grown my business through other people's audiences. I have stages. I know people want to come into my spaces to do the same. It is great if we add value to both, because truthfully, be a good human being and add value to the world. Please and thank you.
That's what I teach all the time. I say it has to be a win-win-win. Has
Yep.
to be a win for your partner, has to be a win for their audience that they get value, but then of course, you don't want to cut yourself out of the deal, so it has to be a win for you. So if you can
Yes.
create a win for all three groups of people, then it's there. So that's why I said, build a relationship with those people because we didn't just go to these people and pitch, "Hey, we want to run events to your audience." It was like, "Hey, let's get really strategic. Let's offer some free resources to these people's communities. Let's do some free trainings without selling for a while, right? Let's figure out ways to add value and like show these partners that we actually want to invest into their business and their audience." And so, yeah, it took some of these people we built relationships 6 years, or
Yep.
not 6 years, 6 months. Some of them a year, some of them a few months. It just depends, but very, very key what you said. Lead with value, lead with a relationship.
Always, always, always. So the final piece of the puzzle I want to know is how do you improve conversion rates? So we filled the room by working with other people to get people to share the message. We've added value. That's what we've thought about with the audience. We know why they want. There's a result that they're going to get when they show up to our event. What do we do to convert the sales piece, which is bottom line revenue, offers accepted in a virtual space?
I think it starts with the content you're delivering, because a lot of people, they build a virtual event and they think it's just, I got to teach value, give as much as possible. Yeah, that's a strategy, but is it the best strategy? We actually build out our content in a really specific way where it leads them closer from where they are to where they want to be. And so I would say this, just as we're ending this out here, is don't teach just to teach. Don't give so much value just because that's what you're supposed to do, but actually get methodical with the journey you're taking your potential clients on. We call it transformational experiences. How can you craft a transformational experience that has a flow to it? And so I would say this, because some people were like, Michael, what do you mean? What does that look like? I like to look at it from a 30,000 foot view. Look down as if you were in the sky and say, okay, where's my potential customer at now? And where do they want to be? How can I use my virtual event to get them closer to that desired result? And I know as a virtual event host, and you know this just as well, we more than likely, we will not get somebody results in an hour class or in a 90-minute or a 5-day event. We have to get them closer, though. We won't be able to do all of it. So just keep that in mind. How can I craft content that's going to help them get closer to their goal, shift their beliefs, shift their mindset, so that they can become the person that actually can get that result? So long story short is just be really methodical with your content.
Yeah, and I'm going to add one piece of icing on the top to that is when you do that, don't forget you are responsible for leading the offer. And you need to educate people to why you specifically are the must hire, because the most colossal mistake I see business owners make every single day is train, value, and never once say, and here's an offer, and here's why I can be the right person to help guide you there. This will help automatically boost your conversion if you just take that one little step. So, Michael, it's been absolutely fantastic to chat. I could chat for hours on this topic, as you know, but I want to know, because I ask every guest who's been on here, I'm really passionate about this. Everybody has different strategies and tactics that work with their business. This is not a one-size-fits-all business. Please stop buying into that total BS story. So I want to know, to amplify your marketing message, what is working right now in your business to see success this year?
Great question. And my answer may be a little weird, so I'm gonna say it. The way we grow our business is solely off of what we talked about just a few minutes ago, was relationships. I move at a way that a lot of people don't, is I build my business off of going to someone I want to work with, seeing exactly what their needs are, and filling that void. Now, that's what we probably should do as business owners, but a lot of people don't. And so I actually meet people where they're at. And so I built relationships with people and say, okay, what do you need? How can I fill that? And so we do virtual events. So when we step in, I ask them, hey, what do we need to do here? And we fill that gap. But what happens is we provide amazing service. We perform amazing quality work. And because of that, we've only grown through referrals. We've only grown, and it seems so simple, but literally I haven't done any paid marketing. We've only grown through referrals because we provide such good quality, we build such deep relationships, and we fill the void. So sounds like a guru solution.
Not at all. The relationships never go out of style.
Literally just start talking to people, ask what they need, and then providing them with what they need and get them real results. That's what we do, provide real results. And because of that, we've been referred by a lot of people.
So guys, we can build a really simple path to 6 and 7 figures through virtual events. We've learned so many great things from Michael Tucker. Please go find the Funnel Pros when you are ready to continue to expand your virtual game. I want you to think about you showing up as authentically you. I want you to think about, what does the audience need? What is the journey I can take them on? Why would I be the right guide for them? And then I want you to be human. I want you to go connect. I want to invite you to go connect with Michael. He's a great guy. Happy to have you in my network. Michael, thank you for being our guest today. Until next time, go out there, create an elegantly simple business, and go find the people who really need your message and amplify yours. I'll see you soon. Take care.
See ya.
That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit christinecampbellrapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message. We'll see you all on our next episode.